Our young nation in the early 1800s would experience a migration of people to the Northwest Territory. The Michigan region of the territory had not yet become a state of the Union, but expansion westward was the plan in Washington. The early Northwest settlers would come from Europe and the young colonies of the East. Some would come from Canada. There was a spirit of adventure for many of the pioneers. They had dreams of owning land and building homes. From the east they came by boat or the overland trails, which were most difficult to travel. The port of Detroit was established and the most populated city, but Detroit would not have railroad service until 1829. As the migration continued and the potential for growth was realized, we became the state of Michigan in 1837. At this time, the population in the territory was approximately 32,000 people. Indians inhabited many parts of Michigan, but in the Saginaw Valley, the Chippewa tribes lived along the rivers and the shoreline of Saginaw Bay. They spoke the Ojibwe language and lived off the land. They hunted wild game, and the lakes provided a variety of fish. The woods had many wild berries, and the growing of mace and squash added to their diet. The Indians traveled by canoe and developed the sand ridge trails along the shoreline, which later formed parts of the scenic highway. By 1839, only a few white men had settled in the dense forests of the Thumb region of lower Michigan. They favored the eastern lake ports and areas near transportation. In 1845, Reverend John J. F. Out came by wagon as a young missionary to minister to the Indians living by the river Dufil, as named by the French in earlier years. The Indian word for the river is Sebewaing, and so the river would take its name. Reverend Auk and two associate ministers were commissioned by the Ann Arbor Lutheran Church to establish a mission school to educate the Indians and their children. In time, the first mission school was built near the Sebewaing Creek, as the Indians there were eager to learn.